welcome to the Deuce Podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And Jeremy, we are doing episode 123
Testing.
of the Deuce Podcast. We decided that we were going to do City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. Although, when we were watching the credits, it didn't say City Slickers 2. Did you notice that? It just said City Slickers, Legends of Curly's Gold.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't have a 2 out there.
I didn't pay attention to that.
You weren't paying attention to a lot about this movie, and I
you
wasn't
blame
either.
me?
No. This is the follow-up to the 1991 hit City Slickers, starring Billy Crystal, Jack Palance, Daniel Stern. Bruno Kirby was in that movie. Does not reappear in this movie because he got the right idea. And he was allergic to horses. This is what I read.
That was the main problem with
But then why did the first movie then?
Probably didn't realize how much. Well, maybe he didn't realize he had the allergy at that point either, or maybe how often do you get around horses to know you're allergic to horses?
Good question. Yeah. Just when you're around horses, I guess.
Yeah. So I would imagine that he probably didn't know until he was around them, and I'm not sure if you've ever just being near a horse itself isn't so bad, but then if they start sweating they start whatever, he probably.
When I was a camp counselor, we had asthma week, and so let's put the kids on horses because that's not going to trigger any asthma.
No, not at all.
And one of the kids was on a horse, and the horse sneezed, and he goes, "Oh wow, they probably have asthmatic horses for asthma camp." And I was like, "Oh, kid, no, that's not how that works." Speaking of not working very well, City Slickers 2, Legends of Curly's Gold, like I said, was the 1994 follow-up. It does star the original cast except Bruno Kirby. The director this time is Paul Weiland?
Paul
Weiland? What did he direct? What was his debut directing movie, Jeremy?
We looked and I forget now.
How do you forget this? It was the Bill Cosby classic, Leonard Part 6 was his debut. So that's a way to go.
Yeah.
To start off with that crappy movie.
Yeah.
Not 5, not 1 through 5, but Part 6. Still waiting for those.
He peaked with Maid of Honor. So
yeah, he did do Maid of Honor.
That tells you anything.
He also directed a lot of the Mr. Bean. Him and Rowan Atkins go back. So he directed most of the Mr. Bean episodes and Black Adler. But he also directed this movie. And the same writing team as City Slickers 1 is back for City Slickers 2. So that's the information I have. Do you have any other information that might be useful for this movie? Well, I also have some other information if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. I found out that this movie, when it debuted, hit number 3 at the box office. It was beaten out by the Flintstones movie, and number 1 on the box office that year. It was released the same weekend as Speed, so it didn't have a chance in hell.
Yeah,
because
we were sure dumb.
Boy, we were sure dumb. Top movies were City Slickers 2, the Flintstones movie, and Speed. Oh, yeah. 1994, what a feeble mind you were.
Well, and the whole thing came about with mainly because Billy Crystal needed something sure, he needed a sure bet, because he kind of had a bomb on his hands with Mr. Saturday Night.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the film that it was a passion project for him.
It really was.
He put together Mr. Saturday Night. He wrote it, directed it, or whatever, and put his own money into it. But it was a pretty big tank for him, and so
better movie than this one, in my opinion.
Agreed. But the number 1 was Speed, number 2 was Flintstones,
right? So,
Mr. Saturday Night did not do well for him, and he was like, "Shit, I need something to, I don't want to I need to recoup some losses," and so he went for something that they thought would be a sure bet, and because City Slickers 1 was such a big hit, he wanted to get in on that action.
There you go.
Which makes sense.
Sure. I guess. Do we have a plot synopsis for this movie, Jeremy?
Yes, we do. And I have it right here.
Mm-hmm.
1 year after their first Western adventure, Mitch Robbins, now 40, and his friends discover a treasure map that belonged to their late trail guide Curly, and they set out to discover its secrets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done?
I'm done.
Wow. I didn't know this was 1 year after. I guess so it is, because he, like, Daniel Stern's character does say that.
Yeah, they mentioned it a couple times.
They mentioned it a couple times. Yeah, that's odd that it's a year later. Yeah. And not, like, chronologically through, like, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well, you get to think, like, the other one came out in 91.
Yeah.
And they probably started this one in 92. They probably started filming and putting everything together in 92.
Yeah.
And even though it didn't get released until, 94? Yeah. Like, they probably had it, like, they started writing it at that time. That's why it probably
Did I also read that Billy Crystal's horse came back?
Yeah, it's the same
horse from the first movie. So Bruno Kirby got out of it, but,
And the horse could not escape, no.
Filling in for Bruno Kirby is the fill-in actor of the 90s, Jon Lovitz, who would fill in for someone after they would leave or die from a project.
Yes.
Hence the last season of News Radio and Phil Hartman.
Correct.
But this is when Bruno Kirby left, they got Jon Lovitz. He plays Billy Crystal's brother, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his baby brother, Glenn.
His baby brother. And here, the whole shtick with him is that he recites Godfather Part 2.
Yeah,
which Bruno Kirby was in Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of like the inside joke, I guess.
Right. Well, he's very, he's kind of a schlub. He is, he's not good at anything. He can't keep a job down. He's just a mooch. But he's very, like, smart. Like, he remembers everything. He has a photographic memory. He, can recite all these movie lines. He knows the number of letters in a phrase or, word. Or
he's not really smarmy. He's just kind of like a slacker.
Yeah, he is.
You would say,
he's
right?
A slacker, yeah.
There's nothing really that we get upset with him about.
He's not like stealing from them.
No, he's not
annoying.
not like we're going to push him off a cliff or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll talk about later on, what we found out about that one. Which we still don't know is true. But where should we start?
I'm guessing it's not. Like, the only reference I could find to it on Twitter was... we'll come back to it.
So we're going to start at the beginning of the movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is not in this version of the movie.
Yeah, they make reference to him. They say something about your brother.
Your brother, Jake Gyllenhaal, who went on to probably do other things around that time. What was he doing? No, like, when did Jake Gyllenhaal become big? When was Donnie Darko? That was like 98. So
yeah, he had a little ways to go.
Yeah, well, maybe he just was doing something else.
But maybe it wasn't worth bringing him back.
Maybe his mom Maggie wouldn't let him.
No, in 93 he was doing A Dangerous Woman, Josh and Sam.
Wait, when was October Sky? When was that? Was that 95?
October Sky? That wasn't until 99.
Oh, okay. That was the big time that.
That was right before Donnie Darko.
Yeah,
and he played Homegrown before that.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's his 40th birthday, which is probably the funniest joke in the whole movie.
Yeah,
is that we're supposed to believe that Billy Crystal's 40 in this movie. I'm 40 right now, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, and it's weird because they keep talking about being 40, and he isn't 40. He was like 48 when the movie, 48 or 49 when they filmed this, but like he very clearly does not even look close to 49. And this is not one of those, like, sometimes people will say an age and you're like, where are they? College age people play teenagers and whatever.
Right. Whatever.
But this is more of like a Laura Palmer playing a teenager in Twin Peaks, where you're like, girl, you're 30, like, give it up.
Yeah. Also, like, Billy Crystal always looks like he's 30 or 40. Like, he always looks like he's 10 years older than what he really is playing. Like, I never really got his age. Yeah. Ever. So I thought, when he was in Soap, I thought he was 70, but that's just what made the first movie great was the whole fact that he was going through this, like, kind of midlife crisis, right? Like, where he was trying to, I'm getting older. Mm-hmm. There's hair growing in places that I didn't know, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen City Slickers.
Yes.
And so he had something to learn. right? He doesn't really have much to learn in this movie. There's not really many stakes that this movie has.
No.
Right? There's a lot of filler. I was telling you when we were watching this, there's filler in this movie where it's just like, what was the point of that?
I agree. And it's like,
it's nothing to get excited about either.
No, it's like they like, okay, before there was so much about like growing older, because like Bruno Kirby's character was like kind of hadn't settled down, and like Daniel Stern was hanging on to a relationship that was broken, and like ruining his life for these things.
And now he's still hanging on to that.
Yeah,
and he's like trying to cope with the fact that he's single.
But we don't resolve any of that.
We don't resolve that at all.
Yeah, there's no, like, it just becomes a joke that his wife is terrible, or his ex-wife is terrible, but we don't talk about, you have to, they mention it. They're like, don't go back.
Yeah.
And they say a couple times, like, it's like one person says, like, putting your balls in a bear trap, or like, a couple of things like that. But they don't resolve and be like, you're worth this. They don't really go through that.
Yeah.
Even with, like, they kind of do a little bit with, like, Jon Lovitz and...
Sort of.
But the family thing is just a forced...
Yeah, it feels forced. Here's the thing, the reason why it doesn't really... Because no one's growing from this.
Yeah.
Even, like, their epiphany at the end of the movie is, I don't feel as bad as I thought I would.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
that it was
that's what you learned? I'm like,
no. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But there's a lot that kind of fun. I hate to be the Debbie Downer about this, but I didn't really prefer this movie too much. There's a lot not going for it. The fact that it's a retrend of the first movie. I mean, the first movie was a cattle thing. This is more of a treasure hunt. That's the only difference. Look, the art direction really isn't that great. The scenic area, it looks like they are outside of Las Vegas. Like, there's nothing really to grab my attention.
Yeah.
I think I was snoring and you looked over to me.
I did. I looked over.
I did.
I heard you snoring and I looked over and your eyes were open and I was like,
my eyes,
were you asleep or not? I think you must have caught
my brother-in-law where my eyes are open, but I'm like snoring. It was so odd. I could not get into this movie. And perhaps when I was younger I did. And it's not like the comedy itself that they write, and the comedy that comes out of Billy Crystal is not that it's juvenile, right? It's just that it falls flat. Like, it doesn't hold up. Like, there's nothing that punches it to it. There's nothing quotable about it. There's nothing that you grab onto this movie except that it's all a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. And it is.
There's no point. It's seriously a Monsters University all over again.
Yeah, well, this movie is just which Billy Crystal is in also. No, this movie it's just so cash grabby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because the first movie, I think it was like, it's clearly just to get the adventure there, but like in the first movie, there was this like sense of, like, you could sense the stakes with it, right? And
right, exactly. That's what I mean.
Moment.
Yeah.
And like the one here, like, honestly, the only person who I really have a growth moment from is kind of Jon Lovitz.
Yes, that's the only one. No one else really. And when you think that they do, they just go back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
we
go
just
back
drop
to
it. And we're like, we said it. That's enough.
Yes. I mean, and the one thing that makes Jack Palance great in the first movie is that he does kind of, he's that grumpy guy that kind of also learned something from Mitch, right? Here, it's just, I just want the gold. I just want the gold.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's nothing human about Duke as opposed to Curly. I was going to call him Swarley because I couldn't remember his name for some reason.
For some reason, I kept
Curly and Swarley.
I wanted to call him Carly.
Carly Simon shows up as like a female, like Curly. But like, what about that? What about like not having Jack Palance? Because Jack Palance did win the Academy Award in the first movie.
Yeah.
So like they wanted to keep him in the first movie. Why not have him have a sister instead? Would that have changed the dynamic a little bit?
I think it was. Well, and I
like I'm just thinking about this right now.
I think it's important to, especially with what they were trying to set up, because I feel like they hung all of it on the brother thing between Billy Crystal and John Lovitz, like brothers, and like this brotherly love thing. But the message gets lost in everything else, right?
Oh yeah.
Very much so. Like, it should have been, if that was your focus, it should have been more pronounced. But you get that sense of, like, brotherly love between Duke and Curly. The kind of animosity plus the love. It's just like it's a story about brothers. But I don't think they fleshed that out very well. But I think that's what they were getting at.
Yeah.
Because, like, they should have talked more about Duke and Curly, or, like, their past or whatever. I liked some stuff about.
I could even have a flashback of them as younger if I wanted to.
I liked that Duke was more of an F up.
Yeah,
but which echoed kind of the like John Lovitz character. But he was okay in his own way. But like he screwed up a lot of stuff, and I think that. There was a lot to be learned from that, but we just don't get the lesson piece of it. And I honestly, I was like, I would have loved to have seen this go to, because, Duke, his whole gimmick is he left. He didn't want to follow and be like the cowboy or whatever. So he joined the Navy when he was young and sailed the world and was always at sea. So he loves the sea. I was almost like, why didn't we move that to the sea?
Right,
then?
Or something.
Why didn't this finish off on the water and we could have had like badass pirate Duke?
Yes, and what better way? Pirates, treasure, boom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Somehow it gets wrapped up into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he does find a map inside Curly's old hat that he does take, right?
Yes, he does.
So that's how they find out that there's a hidden treasure, and so they go snooping. I want to talk about a couple scenes when they are looking for the treasure that just to get your reactions for it. For instance, Daniel Stern's character thinks he got bit on the butt when he goes to the bathroom by a rattlesnake.
I thought that was in the first movie. When we saw this, I was like, was that in this one?
Right.
I was genuinely confused by that.
Suck my ass. Suck the poison out of my ass, please.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many times I got to hear suck my ass.
Yeah.
From this. And I did not enjoy that. Usually I do enjoy when someone says that for weird reasons. But for this, I just thought this scene went way too far.
Yeah.
It felt like we were filling in time.
Yes.
It was like a sitcom filling in time.
So I could enjoy a scene like that if because it also wasn't like it could have gone super homophobic on that one too.
Right. I agree. Kind of borderline, but
it was borderline, but I also don't think it really went there.
No, it could have.
But
there are moments in this movie that could have.
Oh yeah. I think this scene could have been better had the rest of the movie been substantive. Like, correct. If it had some substance to it, I think that this would have been a fun, like, interlude, just a goofy moment to offset seriousness from other parts of it.
Yeah, and if it wasn't this long
yes.
of a scene.
But it went long. Although, like, I do have to say, like, Daniel Stern was the worst part of that. Sometimes I enjoy Daniel Stern's over the top, and this was like, oh my God, please stop.
Right. I think what plays well with him is when it is a cartoon itself, like with Home Alone.
Yeah. Yes.
That works well. And then when he does play someone who is this sappy, he can do that because in Diner he does play this where he's like love sick and love strung out. And so he can play that. Right?
No, I think the same thing with what was that roller derby movie he was in?
There's a roller derby movie that did not star what's her bucket? Ellen Page?
No, it was Ellen Page's one.
That Whip It?
Yeah, Whip It. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was he played her dad.
He did play her dad, and he was fine in that.
Yeah, it was great. He was serious, and then like when he'd be screaming for like cheering her on, then he was,
And let's not get over the fact that like he does do good voiceover work as far as just in the documentaries and in what's that show? Now you got me all goofed up on my pop culture. Damn it. The Wonder Years.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Why couldn't I think of the one? It's because I'm 40. I'm 40, but I'm okay with being 40. Another scene that went on way too long is the stampede scene. I wanted to get your reaction with this because we wanted to talk about some information that we found out, which we didn't know if it was true or not.
I can't imagine it is.
But so they see like a white stallion, like a white horse, and they're like, and Billy Crystal's like, I want to ride next to a wild animal.
Yeah, it was in my dream or something.
Why?
Yeah.
It doesn't move the plot along.
No.
The whole scene doesn't. They just lose the map. That's it.
Yeah.
During this whole thing, because all of a sudden he has other horses come at him.
Well, they hold on to the map through this.
No,
they flies away, but he ends up on that stone table.
No, they lose the map during the stampede.
It flies away. So let's just get to the. So he rides alongside this thing. He rides alongside of it, and he loses the horse over the ridge. And he's like, "Well, where the hell is it?" And all of a sudden, he hears this rumbling,
right?
And he's like, "Oh shit!" And he turns around and rides back.
Right, there's a stampede.
Yes, and so it's all the wild horses coming behind him.
Okay. And they can't drag me away.
Oh, they can.
Okay.
So they are. They escape through whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Your recollection is different than mine. Mine is that Curly has to, or Curly. See, I think he's Curly. Duke has to jump on Daniel Stern's horse.
Yeah.
And in the map, he drops the map, and the map gets destroyed. They can't find it.
Oh, I was thinking where the guys stole it. That was earlier.
No, that's where
later.
The guys stole it.
Yeah,
Who gives a shit about those guys? Yeah. I don't really care.
Stupid.
Yeah. See, that's where you're getting confused again. But but when you watch this movie, it's like all the scenes look the same.
Yes, they do.
Because the scenic just looks the same.
This is a bowl of tapioca pudding.
Oh, it is a bowl of tapioca pudding, and I wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk. Well, go ahead and talk about the fact that you found.
Yeah. So I was looking up.
So he's but the carriage, not the carriage, but the wagon that John Lovitz has goes crazy and is about ready to go off a cliff.
Yes.
And Mitch, his character, goes and tries to save John Lovitz. But what did we find?
So there's an IMDb fact that says, in the original draft, Billy Crystal's character, quote, accidentally drops his brother Glenn, played by John Lovitz, into a canyon before an oncoming stampede, killing him. Although it was scrapped after negative screen testing, the scene was eventually used in The Lion King.
Yeah.
That is not true.
That seems kind of like...
Could not be fucking true.
Well, here's the reason why it's not true. Because 2 weeks later, after this movie opened up, that's when The Lion King opened.
Right.
So there's no possible way that this could be a true fact.
I mean, but the script was in existence before.
Well,
it took forever to do The Lion King.
Well, that's true. But still, I just don't buy that.
No, it doesn't make any sense. But it was definitely jarring to read it. I was like, wait, what? And the only thing I could think was that, like, he had a dream about it. But even then...
Right, like a nightmare like he's had.
Not even that, like, where he's annoyed with his brother and he dreams of throwing him off, but he, wouldn't actually do that. But it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense.
Oh, makes no sense at all. None at all.
I'm going to guess that's BS and somebody managed to sneak that in. Actually, and I found so people quote this all the time.
That fact?
Yes, in
because it's
things you don't know about City, if it's true. Things you don't know about City Slickers 2. And that fact comes up all the time in blogs and everything.
I just don't buy that. I don't buy that because there's nothing to look, the guy's not a scumbag, right? He's not stealing anything. Like, there's nothing to motivate them to kill off the brother at that moment, right?
Right.
There's nothing. And so, why kill him off?
Yes.
To move your story along, which has not been moved along in the last 20 minutes since the Stampede.
Yeah.
I've been going on way too long. Bullshit. I cry foul on that. There's nothing that says that that's true.
The only other reference I saw to
you know what I mean? It's different. If he was a scumbag, he stole the map, ran out on them to try to get the gold himself. Yes. Boom, kill him off. Then he's a fucker.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. Then you still don't kill him.
No, I know you don't kill him, but I'm like, there's a little bit more motivation to kill him off than to have like what to have Mitch learn a lesson about his brother.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
At that point, you just go home because you have a funeral to now attend to.
Yep.
You know, to get, busy with. It just doesn't make sense at that moment. Plot wise, it just is no. So I cry foul on that. Yeah.
The only thing I found was on Twitter where somebody actually got this into IMDb.
so someone did.
So somebody else is calling BS on it too.
Yeah,
so
I just find that BS. It's wonderful if it was, because it's such a fun fact, but it just seems so stupid. So now let's talk about the whole MacGuffin of the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole reason why we are here is to find Curly's gold. I mean, it's in the frickin' title. City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. And there they are in their little cave thing, wherever they're at. They're all looking for Curly's gold. And they're all splitting it up like they're all, Scrooge McDuck and three, of the DuckTales gang.
Yes.
But nothing really happens in this either. Except Billy Crystal falls into one of those, things that Short Round and Indy.
The cart.
The cart thing.
There's like the mining cart.
The mining
cart.
And
it's basically like it's so stupid. Oh. He falls in the mining cart and they try to do like this Indiana Jones type thing, because they even made references twice about what if there's booby traps in here, where like you fall and a boulder's chasing you?
You're like, well, there's going to be now. Thanks.
Yeah, and so basically, then they do a thing straight out of Temple of Doom.
But then he accidentally, we're searching through this the whole time. We have the map. The map's so important. Then he falls out of the mining cart and magically finds the gold. By the way, just happens to come upon a treasure chest, right?
Yeah.
Opens it up and it's the most pristine gold bars you've ever seen. You know, they look like Willy Wonka bars, covered in the golden ticket stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then this is where, go ahead and explain this, because this is just so frustrating to me. What happens? It turns into The Game by David Fincher.
Oh, no, it's nothing so good as that. No, so we all of a sudden, like the two guys from earlier who jumped them, one of them is wearing, they're both dressed up like they have bandanas over their faces and everything, coming after the gold. They go to, they're like, hey, give us that gold, and yelling at them. Yeah, and so they're all like, they'll start trying to fight them off.
Who is this?
Yeah, and so we think it's those.
We think it's
the same people from earlier, because one of them has the exact same hat too.
Yeah,
or except it just in the color green instead of red or whatever. But like, so he fires the
one of them looks like the guy from Deliverance. Wait, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, what they call him? Yeah, and they call him Pig Boy for whatever. But, so he pulls the gun on Billy Crystal. And John Lovitz is like, no, my brother, and like jumps in front of the gun and gets shot with like, it looks like blood. And Daniel Stern jumps the guy and starts beating the crap out of him. And John Lovitz is saying his goodbye. I will say, like, the only thing that like makes this kind of okay for me is
that moment.
Well, he says, it's like I can't even feel it. It's funny. I don't even feel it. Like basically like the normal, schlocky, I'm slowly dying things. Says his goodbyes. And then Duke picks up the gun and says, these are just blanks.
They're blanks.
They're blanks but that have like paint. So it's not really a blank. So it's a paintball. Yeah, but that does not look like a paintball.
I don't know how blanks with paint work.
Yeah.
Do they have those?
I don't. It's just paintballs. And so, I mean, the movie, they use squibs, so it's not really...
They use June squibs?
Yep, June squibs.
So they're shooting June squibs at each other? I just have that visual.
Just little June squibs running around.
Just June squibs.
Like, how did you fuck with me?
How dare you?
So, then he's like, these are blanks. And they're like, they're what? And of course, John Lovitz comes back, and then the guy who ran the cattle runs from the first movie, or the cattle drive, he comes out and he said, "Oh, will you beat up my sons?"
They're like Joe from the cattle run, whatever the fuck his name is,
and he has two of the characters from the first movie,
right, including David Paymer or Palmer, whatever his name is.
David Paymer. Yeah, it's David Paymer and Josh Mostel.
Yeah,
Zero Mostel's son.
Oh, no wonder he looked like... Yeah. I was like, is that Zero Mostel? Okay.
Yeah, he looks just like his dad. Okay. Zero Mostel's son. Yep. They're like, hey, we're on this thing. It's instead of doing the cattle drive where there's all this risk and whatever else, now they do phony treasure hunts for city slickers.
What?
And turns out
they've set this up a year after...
Yeah. Well, originally Curly was working on it with the map. He had the map, and they made copies of the map. And he was trying to get Duke involved so that Duke could, make some money off of it. And so they made the same offer to Duke. And of course, Duke is heartbroken. He realized the gold bars are actually just painted lead just for, Yeah. They're just there for people to find and and then they're done. So everybody, turns out there's no gold. They don't get anything. It's just all been for show.
Yeah. They've had June squibs shot at them.
So
they go back to to Vegas.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, this is where they sit there for a minute and they're just like, I know I should be more heartbroken or more upset.
I should be heartbroken, but I feel nothing.
I feel fine. I feel great.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we all feel great.
Yeah.
We learned no lesson
all
to be
didn't
learned.
learn any lesson.
We just feel good.
We all lied to everyone, and we might have risked Mitch's job, but I feel great.
Yes. But then you see Duke is there. And
in Vegas?
No, Duke is there, and he just goes, "Nope, the gold is still out here. It's gotta
get the gold.
I gotta get the gold." So he's like, he still wants to go after it.
It was great, Clint Eastwood.
No, Clint Eastwood is a lot shorter than that.
Did you love Jack Palance's facial expressions as much as I didn't in this movie?
I think that in the first one he's trying to be more badass.
Yes, and this is very goofy.
You know what though? Like, if they would have done the characterization better, or been more of like,
or if they were on the sea,
he's the sea fuck up, whatever. I love when he did the thing about his boat. He lost his boat, and so like he had been working in a pirate restaurant as like the happy pirate, and he's like, "Ooh, how would you like your burger made?" and being goofy with that. That part
that I was fine with.
Yeah. That worked right, because then I was like, oh, you're the screw up.
Talking about the introduction, like when, first of all, like a cloud of smoke because he's fighting those guys off of them. We don't know it's going to be Jack Palance. Like, come on. So the cloud of smoke disappears, and they're like, Curly. Anyway,
I felt like it was Jack Palance trying to play Jack Palance. Like it was like a hyper impression of himself, and so that was what was.
Let me show you my one-armed push-up.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yes, and the winner is Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. Believe it or not.
I think I read that wrong. Should have been Miranda Richardson.
You know what though? Like I could have actually. I was thinking about this because he did Ripley's Believe It or Not.
For a while he did that. I can't believe
the early 80s.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah,
with his daughter Holly Palance.
Holly Palance, sure.
And she's probably about the same age as them. Like, you could have left Curly out of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And had her come back as his daughter.
His daughter?
His badass daughter. And then had it be a learning lesson for Daniel Stern, where he's got somebody who he can quit being such a loser with, or something.
Can we say the Stern character, like his character is the goot in this one? He got gooted.
He got gooted.
He got gooted. We're gonna use that from now on. So the end of the movie is that Mitch is in Vegas, and all of a sudden Curly shows up, gets in his room somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then says, I learned something. That one thing that Curly was talking about. What was it? Like he says,
he said there's
honesty or something.
Yeah, he says the one thing that was important to him was honesty.
Well, like even that, he was like, "There's two things: money and whatever the first thing is.
Whatever the first thing is, and gold,
and
more
like,
money."
Oh my God, jeez, glum gold.
He is the glum gold. Of this
He is. It's like they're Scrooge and Glumgold. Like really, they are. And he says, and he shows him, I found it.
Yeah,
the real gold.
So his mother apparently there was the whole map that Curly got, but then the portion of the map that showed where it was reburied went to Duke.
You're just finding this out now?
Well, Duke knew about it. He was planning on stealing it from them later.
Okay, gotcha.
But he had to find where the other part of the treasure was before he could figure out where his portion was.
Yeah, that's what he.
And he was going to run off without them. But I think he figured out, like, hey, these people were working towards this. We need to do it together. I couldn't have done it without them, so he's cutting them in.
Sure.
But
and then he slaps a piece of gold in his head. He's got friends. And then Billy Crystal butters it with his knife 400 times.
He's scratching it to make sure it's not.
Oh, it's
lead.
real, I guess. Can't believe it's not butter. No, it's gold. Don't worry. And then the credits roll and you've been deuced.
There you go.
So there you go. If you do want to, I forgot to mention this. You can rent this on streaming services for $2.99. So there you go. But let's do our 5 questions, shall we?
Yes, we shall. Yeah. What do you think the best part of this movie is?
I'm going to tell you the best part of this movie is Mark Shaman's music. The music in this is, I love the music in City Slickers, and that's my favorite part of this. Mark Shaman is the guy that he was the piano guy for the singing duo of the Sweeney Sisters in Saturday Night Live.
Oh, nice.
He also wrote lyrics for Hairspray, the Broadway musical, and has done many things. He did the Prop 8 stuff when Prop 8 happened. He did the Prop 8 musical for that as well. Did the opening musicals for NPH for the Oscars and Tony Awards.
Oh, wow.
So, the guy's pretty credited and has worked with Bette Midler and, all the queens, if you know what I mean. And I just feel like it lends itself to this movie and actually heightens the movie in ways that nothing else does.
Yeah.
So my favorite part is the music, because I really do enjoy the music in this.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part?
Honestly, I like the stuff before I'm okay with Westerns. I like the stuff before they went out to.
Yeah, I'm okay with Westerns too. This is
the stuff in the city, like where it was like him and his job and all these other things. Like, I was okay with that.
Me too.
Like, I almost would rather have it been like this is a life thing, like without the City Slicker piece or the Western piece, or have Jack Palance in the city trying to do something, or have it kind of reversed. It's a Crocodile Dundee. 2, where now we're in the Outback on his terms, or just kind of reverse the roles.
I like that. Go ahead. Second.
Would you reboot, continue, or cancel?
Cancel. I cancel this.
Yeah, I can't see that it would.
I cannot see that you would move forward to this after this movie. You know, this movie actually does a disservice to the first movie.
I think so too.
You know?
Well, I might have watched City Slickers more recently than you. I don't know, when's the last time you watched that movie?
When's the last time I watched this? I'm going to guess you've watched it sooner than me, I guess. Probably 10 years, over 10 years. Why? When was it? Like Tuesday for you?
No, it's not, it's been a little while, but like, I watched it at a few years ago, and I don't think it holds up. I don't think it holds up like.
Wait, you watched it without me?
It was like, I don't know. It was just on one day. I don't think it holds up like you remember it holding up.
No, I'm going to assume it doesn't.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't hold up. I doubt that the first one does.
Yeah. And so, I know you say like this is a disservice to that, but like that movie just doesn't hold up really.
The reason why I say it's a disservice to it, even though it does not hold up, the importance of Jack Palance in that role.
Yes.
And the fact that he should have got honored for that role. He's the best part of both of these movies is the Jack Palance performance in the first movie. If we're going to say that correctly, he should have been given the Academy Award for Shane, but he wasn't, and instead, so many years later, was given the Academy Award, and that's a shame. Not Shane, shame. But that's the reason why I say it kind of shits upon the first movie through the Jack Palance performance in the first movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that like I do enjoy Bruno Kirby, and I do enjoy the camaraderie that is those three characters.
Yes,
better than these three characters.
I would agree. These ones don't match.
So even though it might not hold up, I think it's the glue's a little bit better in that one. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that like we kind of get ripped off of some of the. We get ripped off a little bit with like the relationship building piece. Like it's not like we do. This is your brother and whatever. He just knows it because they've been friends for so long. So they put like Daniel Stern doesn't have to get to know his brother. Like,
well, there's also a piece like he says, you know, and he's your best friend, and then he says like, well, you slept with his girlfriend,
his sister
or something like that.
Yeah,
that's just out of the blue and like never mentioned again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why that's not part of the reason why Daniel Stern's character hates, you know, John Lovitz's character.
He doesn't hate John Lovitz.
No, but I mean, there could have been some conflict there.
Yeah.
Where we could have built that. Do you know what I mean? But we didn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's our next question?
Next question. By the way, I would probably cancel this one as well.
I thought you would. Sorry.
So, I just can't see it going to a City Slickers 3, and like I wouldn't reboot it with anybody or any. It's kind of past its prime as far as I think part of the Western piece is nostalgia on the part of like the baby boomers who this movie was kind of focused on before.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of come and gone. I mean, like you know,
if you do, you put Mitch's character as like the Jack Palance character, which makes no fucking sense.
Right.
To do that.
Right. I think now you have. Yeah, I mean, I think now most of those movies that are kind of aimed at that nostalgic group are a lot of like we're old, but we can still do things kind of genre, like, you know, where they're the cheerleaders or where
also
they're
like
going on their last tour out of Vegas.
Like, or people talk about Ghostbusters, right? No one's talking about a revival of a City Slickers. Like, I don't remember a lot of people talking about City Slickers, you know, recently in the last 10 years. You know what I mean?
There was one.
So congrats. Let's do it.
One Funny or Die thing with where they Billy Crystal, they reboot him. He's like one of the robots in
Westworld.
In Westworld,
that makes sense to me.
That was funny.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's like, well,
yeah.
Do you think this stands on its own?
No, because the whole ending, the whole MacGuffin ending, you're like, what? Who are these people? No, it doesn't stand on its own.
Completely agree.
And nor should it for something kind of, I don't want to say simple, but more comedic in its way. Yeah. I think it should, rely a little bit on the first movie. I mean, the whole fact that Jack Palance's character is dead, Curly. I mean, that whole thing is You know, so if there's one movie that does not, you know, it's this one.
They were gonna bring him
as
back
a ghost?
as a ghost.
No.
Yeah, and
No.
that
That's
tanked
Arthur too.
You have said tanked in Arthur 2, so they did not do that instead, which is fine. Does this make you want to watch the first one?
Oh no, no, not really, not really. Look, over the years, I've kind of not become a fan. I've become less of a fan of Billy Crystal. Mm-hmm. He has said some things I don't agree with, and it's not like I'm boycotting Billy Crystal. Like I'm like, ooh, I'm going to boycott Billy Crystal. But think about it. When's the last Billy Crystal movie that you've seen, or that? I mean, what's he do? He's not really doing much. I mean, he did do a sitcom with Josh Gad, The Comedians, which I heard was okay.
Yeah.
But that's probably about the last real big thing that he did, right?
Monsters.
Right, but those are like those, but that's not him on screen. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just talking about that and not a voiceover work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You?
Does it make me want to?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, also because I've seen that, but like, yeah, I don't think it's something that, especially seeing this, like if this was the only one I saw, would not make me want to watch the first one, because I would think like I would be missing out on like the stuff at the time where I was like, okay, like a more fleshed out storyline and stuff. This definitely wouldn't make me want to watch that one, but you know, I would consider it. Like, it's not one of those that I'd be like, hell no. I would like watch it if it came on TV, maybe, but I wouldn't go out of my way to like hunt it down.
Oh yeah, like if I was watching TBS and you know something was on and I'm washing dishes and the movie ended and City Slickers came on, or City Slickers 2, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's playing in the background.
Yeah. Yes, that
you know, because I'm not getting up. My hands are full. I'm doing something.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to change it, but
yeah, I'll change it about halfway through when I get done with my chores. But no. All right. Well, our last question is the what 2 words that describe killer, filler, killer, or Miss Diller, filler, killer.
That's too many words.
That's a lot of words. Filler. Killer, which are my 2 words. It just this movie. I told you this movie could have been 20 minutes long because there was so much that I'm like, just get to the point to where they're at. You could have done a lot. You could have done like even more of a Goonies thing if you wanted to when you were at the fucking thing. I don't care.
Yeah,
just get to it. You have this whole stampede thing that makes no sense. You know. You have the guys that are like stealing the map from you,
which is pointless.
You know, I'm like, all of it does not make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just filler. It's trying to get some money out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And like, look at the time. Like, look, people wanted Die Hard on a bus over this. Okay, that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So
basically,
your 2 words.
Shitty Slickers.
Shitty Slickers. Shitty Slickers 2. Just the Dukes. Yeah.
No, just Shitty Slickers.
Just Shitty Slickers. Yeah.
No, it.
I hate to drive. I'm like, look, I did say the music is the best part of this movie, and for the most part, it is. Like, there's really like, I don't think this is as bad as we're really saying, but it's not great, right?
No.
Like, this was nominated for a bunch of Razzies. I'm thinking there was a lot worse movies out there that came out during that year. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Shitty Slickers.
Yeah. I think that you took it's like they took a movie and they were like, well, here was a movie with heart, but comedy as well. And they were like, ooh, the heart stuff is the harder to do. What if we just take that out and leave it with the comedy piece? You know, and then that's what we have left over. It's like they took out the...
Oh, this was a comedy? Because I think they took out the comedy as well.
No, they went like base on their comedy. Like, they really took out the stuff that I think people really liked about the first one, and just left in.
Here's what I think happened. Here's what I think happened. They gave him a script. They're like, yeah, sure. What if we make it Curly's Gold? And they're going to find Curly's Gold because you mentioned that. Oh, perfect. They write a script, they maybe tinker it a little bit, and then that's it. They don't rewrite it ever again.
Probably.
And then they're like, here you go. And people are like, oh, that's perfect. You know, they'll eat it up. Well, they didn't. Yeah. Not that much. And I just feel like this could have been benefited for a couple of rewrites.
Yeah.
And when I mean a couple, I mean 17 rewrites.
Well, when did Mr. Saturday Night come out?
Had to be between that, like what, 93 or
Okay, it came out in 92.
Okay.
And City Slickers 2 was in 94.
Right.
So that bombed in 92, and so they probably were like, right after that, Billy Crystal's probably like, come on, let's go. And they probably started working on the script right away and then filming it. I don't think they started on the script until they were like, he wants to do this. He probably was like, let's do a City Slickers 2.
Right.
And then they
had to like rush to do it.
Yes.
That's why I'm like,
just good enough.
The whole thing feels like it's rushed. It feels like they're like, there's pages missing in the script, and they're like, Stampede, 20 minutes.
Yes.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, should we put some other things in there? No. But if you do want to watch this movie, which, if you're a Daniel Stern completist like me, then watch this movie.
Yes.
If you're a Billy Crystal fan, look, Billy Crystal delivers some lines that are chuckled.
Yes.
Especially at the beginning, I chuckled through it. I would say watch this movie. Other than that, if you really want a good sequel, don't watch this movie. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. So we're gonna take. I don't know what we're gonna do. So we're gonna have surprises next time. So we'll find out what that is later. But in the meantime, remember, folks, that the sequel is king.